Hello there, problem solvers. What we're going to do to start off today is we're going to look at some of those answers from the reading notes that you did for Chapter 11, in which we're talking about working backwards. Um, this first thing here that I want to look at is the directions to get to Mark's friend's house from the freeway, which is not at all working backwards, but here are the directions that I wrote. So you head north on the freeway, exit at Grove, turn right on Grove. When you get to the market, turn left onto Orchard. At the firehouse, turn right onto Arbor Drive. When you get to Plum Place, turn left. Finally, turn left on Kiwi Court. And Mark's house is at the end of Kiwi Court. Now, the real reason that we wanted to do that is for the next question, which was to use those directions to reverse them to get Mark back to the freeway. And basically, what you're going to do here is you have to head east on Kiwi Court. You turn right onto Plum Place. So notice each direction has the opposite turn. So this was a left turn onto Kiwi, but now I'm turning right onto Plum. So it's also onto the previous street. So you have to go backwards, right? You have to undo the directions and go to the previous street. So right onto Plum, turn right onto Arbor. At the firehouse, turn left onto Orchard. When you get to the market, turn right on Grove Avenue. Finally, turn left to head south on the freeway. All right, next let's take a look at numbers 10 through 14. I think this is very clear how to get the answers. You need to work backwards. So if I'm thinking of a number from 1 to 10, I double it, come up with 6. The math you would do to get your answer of 3 is 6 divided by 2. That one, you probably didn't even need to think about the operation you were doing. You just know that it's 3, right? But for the other ones, once you get into things that are more like 2 steps, it's probably a little easier to write out your steps or be thinking about doing the opposite operation. So I've got a number from 1 to 10, multiply it by 3, I add 5, giving a result of 17. So I started by doing 17 minus 5, which is 12. I then did 12 divided by 3 because that's the opposite of multiplying by 3, and I get 4. Number 12, 25 plus 3 is 28 because adding 3 is the opposite of subtracting 3, and then 28 divided by 4, because that's the opposite of multiplying by 4, is 7. So notice I had to do the opposite operation, and I had to do it in the reverse order. Same thing here. Opposite operation would be 12 times 3 equals 36, and then 36 minus 22 is 14. Again, opposite operations in the reverse order. Oh my gosh, a fraction. Whew. So exciting. I changed it to a decimal. 7.5 plus 1 is 8.5. Double that, and you get 17. So there you go. Next, let's take a look at the ballet company. Half the company stayed up late watching tractor pulls on TV. There were 13 tired dancers. How many dancers were in the company? That's half the company plus one more. So basically, first step is think about how much half the company is. Then you add one more to that, and you will get 13. So you have to go in reverse order there so you can see I started with step C and I started with 13 and I did the opposite, adding one more, which is to subtract 1 to get 12, and then finally I doubled that, which is the opposite of taking half, to get a total of 24. And now what you can always do is you can always check your answer by going forward through the steps with that final answer. So if I do half of 24 and add 1, will I get 13? And you can double check that to see that yes, you will. And finally, let's look at Bad Bargle, who sneaked into Homer's pigeon loft. He took half the pigeons. He decided that wasn't enough. He took one more. Later, Homer opened the door. Half the remaining flock flew out, leaving 6 inside. So if you first list those steps in order, A, half are stolen. That's the operation divided by 2. B, one more is stolen. That's minus 1. C, half fly away, that's dividing by 2. And then step D is the fact that 6 remain. You then need to basically go backwards. So you go from bottom to top there. So I'm going to start with step D, which is just 6. Then I take that 6 and I do the opposite operation. The opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2 to get 12. Then I take that 12, I do the opposite of subtracting 1, which would be adding 1 to get 13. And then I do the opposite of dividing by 2. So I do 13 times 2 to get 26 as the original number. that he had. And again, you can always check your final answer by going forwards through the steps. So if I had 26 pigeons, if he took half, that would be 13, leaving 13. He took one more, that would leave me with 12. Homer opened the door and half flew away. Half of 12 is 6, and I have 6 left inside the pen, so you can always check your answers. So I don't have any new examples today. Hopefully you understand that working backward procedure, and I'd encourage you to kind of write your steps in the way that I kind of have here, where you can see, okay, I've listed them all in the correct order, that is the original order. I've attached a mathematical operation to each of those, and then I do those in the reverse order and do the opposite operation to get to the original starting answer. So you can see I did that for both of these problems, and I encourage you to try that method here for our homework here, which is numbers 1, 4, and 6. As always, let me know if you have any questions. Bye!